Hey everybody, and welcome back to X's for Podcast. This is the Daily X, where we bring you news, information, and discussions about your favorite Marvel comics, most notably the X-Men. I'm Nico, and you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at NicoAction. That's NicoAction. And in this next segment, Josh, Arturo, Blake, and Drew take a look at the most recent issue of New Mutants, a title fraught with danger for the kids inside of it. Now, while the mutants might not be so new anymore, a number of the younger students have really taken center stage in Vita and Rod's brilliant storytelling. This issue is part of the incredible Hellfire Gala, which was running the entire month of June over in the X office. We hope you guys enjoy as much as we've enjoyed making it, and if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, we'll see ya.
Welcome back to X's for Podcast. This week we're talking about New Mutants 19, written by Vita Ayala with art by Alex Lins, colors by Matt Milla, and letters by VC's Travis Lano. The New Mutants take a night off to dance and look pretty at the Hellfire Gala, leaving their young wards to be irresponsibly fridged. It's Chapter 8 of the Hellfire Gala, and with me to discuss are...
Hey guys, I'm Arturo. You can find me at Mr. Toybox on Twitter and Instagram, where I do some amateur photography and I do not fridge any of my action figures.
I'm your friendly neighborhood nerd, Blake. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Blake's Buzz. You can go to blakesbuzz.com and check out indie reviews for comics, where we don't fridge any comic books and throw them under the bus. That was terrible. Wow. My writing's better than that, I swear to God.
I didn't come up with a cool intro, but I'm Drew. You can find me online on Twitter and Instagram at Xi4P. That's at DREWSIPHER3, and we hope you survive the experience.
Drew is calling in from the inside of a fridge.
We're gonna, if Drew has a Honey Badger action figure, we're gonna make Drew take pictures of himself putting it in the fridge, so we can make a meme where we just write the word Vita over his face. As always, though, I'm Josh Wheel. You can find me online at Asleep at the Wheel, WEIL, and at asleepatthewheel.com. And for the next 2 years, as the Progressive Democrat running for U.S. Senate in the state of Florida, you can find me across social media at Wheel4 U.S. Senate and at joshwheel.org. New Mutants 19. We had a conversation in the green room, and Arturo was mentioning that he had just caught up and read the Crucible issue, and it was so good. And my first comment was, yeah, it's a hell of a lot better than this one we're about to talk about.
The kids are not all right.
The kids are not all right.
The kids are not all right. The kids are going through it.
Something is killing the children.
Something is killing the children, and it better fucking not be Farouk Ahmed. That's all I have to say.
I just want to say thank you to the X Office and the Krakoan era and to Josh for even instilling any flicker of hope in my heart that maybe Shadow King was going to be redeemed. I am sad to see that snuffed out so violently. But yeah, I think, the fact that you guys, that you, Josh, specifically, even got that in my head, like, because my first instinct was, why are you going to invite Shadow King to Krakoa? Like, there's a short list of mutants that, in my book, are irredeemable and should not be on Krakoa. But, one by one, we're going through that list, and they are on Krakoa. And Malice turns out is not a bad person, and the Shadow King, I thought, might be, worth redeeming. Selene apparently has some virtues worth keeping her around for. But it looks like Shadow King is not part of that list. It looks like Shadow King should have stayed off the island.
So let's do just a quick rundown of what happens in this episode, because I have a feeling like we're going to be less than linear here, because the biggest point that we need to discuss and talk about is at the end of the book. But we have a New Mutants issue. Like many of our Hellfire Gala issues, it's really continuing the stories of New Mutants as opposed to continuing the stories of the Gala. Those 4 red issues are your core of the Hellfire Gala: Marauders 21, X-Men 21, Planet-Sized X-Men number 1, and Sword number 6. All of your other Hellfire Gala issues are really just bringing the characters there, having them interact. They're enriching the Hellfire Gala reading experience, but they're continuing the stories from those books. So we are continuing our story from this book, where we have Shan free of her brother, although still no mention of what happened to her brother. We have Danny and Rain. Danny finally coming back and apologizing for bailing on Rain a few issues ago. We have Ilyana and Shan dealing with a douchey date rapist guy. We finally get something with Warlock and Doug and Bay. We get an awkward story with all of our typically queer-coded female characters trying to undress James, which I was not really here for. And then we get the big at the end. So since the very first issue of the Wild Hunt, since Vita's first issue on New Mutants, which was focused, the primary character in that was Farouk Ahmed, the aforementioned Shadow King. Learning about the Shadow King being something that possessed him, learning that there was more to him than that it was almost like a symbiote venom relationship. We were seeing a different side of him, an opportunity for a new life or a new place on Krakoa. We've seen the kids and many of these characters kind of interacting with him, and there's been questions about whether, he's doing right by these young kids who are turning to him, or is he a spider luring them into his web? Gabby has been one of the most concerned, and at the end of this issue, we get, kind of a side-by-side track. We get a part of the story with Farouk talking about, how much this new world means to him and how dedicated he is to protecting and, helping, these younger mutants have someone and to help them develop and grow. And that he won't let Gabby get in the way of that. And then we get a final panel with Gabby Fridged. Gabby is, she's not literally like, this isn't Green Lantern's 53 by Ron Mars, like the original Fridge. Like, they didn't find her in a fridge like Kyle found Alex. But she's Fridge. She was killed off panel unceremoniously to further the story of lesser characters. And Vita might have good intention here. Vita might want to, get into the debate of, they didn't want to resurrect clones because nobody liked Maddie, but now they like Gabby. So, will it be more about resurrecting clones or resurrecting people you like? Vita might have some good intentions here. But
Sure.
The fact of the matter is Vita fridged a character.
Okay, wait. I'm going to throw a flag on the field here. Yes, Vita definitely fridged a character, but two things, and I mentioned this in the green room. One, the reveal was great. I get it. Nobody was expecting that. Throughout the party, you're like, where's Gabby? Where's Gabby? It's kind of like the running thread. You weren't expecting that. So I get that, and I get that that's, part of the charm of fridging a character is just for that dramatic effect. And it sucks, but it worked. It was an effective use of it. And two, I cannot imagine Vita doing this without some clear intention to kind of do a whole thing about fridging. Like, I don't see Vita doing this unaware of the implications of it. So yeah, I agree. It was frustrating. I agree it sucked. I agree it left like a shitty feeling in your stomach. But it's a hell of a hook for a story. You can't wait to see what happens in the next issue. And that might be a little trite, but I give them props for at least doing it well. If there's a good way of doing it, hang tight. Gabby will be back. She's not fridged, but she got fridged.
Yeah, we've been talking about the clones are going to have to be addressed. Like, I know we've talked about it in several episodes I've recorded with you guys. And I think, Gabby, if something happens to Gabby, then the clones have to be addressed. The fans will demand it. You can't ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
So it sucks because it may lead to something I wanted, because I've been wanting this X-Men clone saga in a sense. But yeah, it was really rough, but I don't know, I was really ready for this, especially in the issue when they started saying where's Gabby, and I was like, she's dead. I was like, she's I just knew it. I kind of knew her interactions with Farouk, and even her friends turning against her, and it's her life, just her normal life, is really affecting us emotionally reading this, because we all love her and want more from her. And then as soon as they were like, where is she? I was like, oh fuck, she did it. She killed her. And the only thing I think is, I don't necessarily think it's Farouk, because forgive me if I'm wrong, but don't we know that yes, Farouk was possessed by the Shadow King, and the Shadow King is also a mutant and is on the island in someone, and we don't know it yet. Is that right? The Shadow King could have killed her, but not Farouk, and this is an entire a big mislead. And if this does lead to the clones being able to be, to be brought back to life. Is it fridging if within a handful of issues you could bring them back, like instantaneously, like all the X-Men get brought back?
I mean, everybody gets brought back in comics. Like,
Yeah.
nobody doesn't not get brought back anymore. Like, we're kind of, yes, we know that. And in the Krakoan era,
In the
we can
Krakoan
feel
era, it feels like Kenny from South Park.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
But
like,
I have 2 big points here. One is, and yes, there's a very good chance that this could be misdirection on Farouk, because Vita has been building up a redemption for Farouk's story. And they could be, teasing us or making it look like Farouk to reveal otherwise. But right, what we got in New Mutants 19 is potentially saying that yes, even if you like our explicitly Muslim character that, we were trying to redeem, you still can't trust them because, they might kill someone you love. And we got Gabby fridged. You can have a story about should we resurrect Gabby without fridging her, right? Gabby could have gone down like a fucking G like Gorgon did. Okay? Gabby could have died, valiantly saving her friends from some threat that turned out to not be Farouk on panel, and we could have had this tearful loss, and then, the final panel, people wondering, her friends wondering if they would resurrect her because of the clone protocols. You could have done this a number of different ways that did not involve fridging Gabby.
but that's why I say hang tight, because who knows?
Yeah,
the next issue, the next first half of the next issue could all be a flashback to exactly what happened during the party. Like it might be a Gabby centric issue. Like who knows? Who knows? I think that's all I'm saying is you gotta. It's good to have visceral and immediate reactions, but you gotta judge the work. You gotta take a step back and see it in its entirety. You just gotta see what the next beat is.
Yeah, I also think your point about her dying in like a gallant hero kind of way would have made it a bit more it would have added it another level to the intensity of the situation, because it would be oh, she saved people. Now are they going to bring her back? And if they don't, isn't that kind of even more of a dick move after she just saved people? So I feel like that would have leveled it up to, instead of, just killing her off panel.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I think if she was on a mission or something, right? That's a little more cut and dry, right?
The one that Wolverine just went through.
I see, thinking it through that lens, I see because I'm like Arturo. I'm expecting a flashback where we get this big scene, but I'm now seeing that how it was. Yeah, I see the difference between that now, seeing that first, and then just the off-panel reveal that she's gone, and in a way is cheaper storytelling. Yeah, I agree now.
I gotta say, I'm really happy that I feel like I really care about Gabby. She's not a character that I'm super familiar with. I've really enjoyed seeing what Vita's doing with her right now, and it's been a nice progress. It's it's been building up. So even not having feeling super attached to the character, before House and Powers, let's say, just through Vita's writing, I've really grown to care for her. And in this story, I'm invested. I'm like, oh shit, what's happening? And I'm very invested in clones. I mean, if you follow me on Twitter, it's what I'm complaining about 3 times a week at minimum. Clones is a huge thing. The Clone Saga, the Clone Wars of Krakoa. I cannot wait because we can't resurrect Gabby without talking about Maddie. Without talking about Joseph. I know I'm the only person on Earth talking about Joseph at this point, but it's worth considering. There's clones, and Evan's still irretrievable. So we'll see. I mean, I'm not getting my hopes up. I think at the very least it touches back on Maddie. We see, not in this issue, but we know that Havoc, while Gabby was getting fridge, Havoc is making rounds at the party, talking to everybody that'll listen about Maddie. So there's stuff cooking. It's not happening in one place. It's but I think it is bringing it to a head here.
And think of the inevitable, or not, I guess inevitable, but very possible team up of Havoc and Laura, the new Wolverine and Havoc, together going on this, because he's the number 1 campaigner for clones now, but who's going to be number 2 or number 1.5 even, because I mean that's her sister is Laura. So I mean these two are going to have the same cause to work together and do something about it, and then knowing that in just a few months we have Inferno, like the shit's got to burn down, right? Like these are the sparks that are gonna, start the wildfire that is Inferno. Possibly, I'm thinking. Again, I'm trying to be hopeful because I didn't want what happened in this issue to happen either. So I'm trying to think positively, but I don't know. It's shit
Yeah,
has to start
I
going
am looking
down.
forward to Inferno. I do expect Inferno to be Maddie centric, which now would make it feel like it needs to be Gabby centric as well. It's important to say just because I don't like or I'm unhappy or I have other feelings about a comic doesn't mean it's a bad comic, right? I can think back as a big Green Arrow fan, right? I remember in Judd Winnick's run, right? He did some things that were infuriating but not bad, right? So back in the seminal Mike Grell run, there was a period where Ollie cheated on Dinah and that all spiraled out of control, and that led to kind of the Ollie spiral out that led to him dying, and we got Connor Hawk in the 90s. And when he came back to life and was resurrected, he wasn't going to make those same mistakes. He was going to be a better man. He was going to prove to everyone and convince he was better. And then eventually he made the same mistakes and did it again. And it was infuriating, but it was also totally believable because like you didn't want to see him make the same mistakes, but you just fucking knew the dude was going to make the same mistakes. Like, and he did, and you wanted better for the character. And, for me, you can still be like, no, why did you do that? No, but like get it and, have it make sense and understand and have it be true to the characters. And, this was, I mean, it's hard to say what's true to the characters because, we've got this Farouk who's going through these different things, and the Gabby scene happened off screen. But, to me, this was a different type of infuriating. Like, this was like, no, I want better. Like, all right, X line, like X office, I am devoting far too much fucking time and money to your comics, right? Because you put out like 13 to 15 a month now, and I buy every goddamn one, and we go online and we talk about them, and I try to give you the benefit of the doubt at every corner. And when you do bad comics, it feels like you do bad comics because you're not worried about the response, because that those of us who are in are just fucking in, and we're gonna buy it whether it's bad or not. We're gonna come back next month,
especially at this point.
Yes, we're going to come back next month for number 20. We're not just going to throw the book down and walk away. Although this was an issue that kind of made me want to throw the book down and walk away if I wasn't so heavily invested in the line-wide storytelling.
Yeah, another thing that I was thinking about is, so as I'm reading like the original Inferno, it's kind of funny that it is in like two parts. Like you get the X Factor X-Men side of it, and then you get the New Mutants X-Terminators part of it. So potentially, what if the second Inferno does something like that, where part of it is dealing with like the Mystique Destiny kind of issues, and then the other half of it is kind of like the clones and that kind of saga, eventually probably merging together, right? Because and then them working together to burn everything down.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think Mystique is going to play a huge role in it. I think those two potential storylines could intersect in that Mystique would find a way to resurrect a group of the list of people that you can't resurrect, which includes precogs and clones. So I think there will be common cause there. I don't know if the stories, I hope we don't go into any kind of limbo shenanigans. Like that was it's the one thing about the first Inferno that it loses me. So I'm kind of hoping we keep this.
Yeah, I don't mean in that kind of sense. I mean more of structure.
Yeah.
My feeling as we look ahead and analyze these stories is that Inferno is going to be about resurrection protocols. And we can see through lines in every title, right? You have Mystique and Destiny in X-Men, right? Destiny, why won't Destiny be resurrected? We now have in Way of X, why isn't Blind Spot resurrected? We have in New Mutants, right? Why they can't resurrect Tyr and now Gabby. We have in Hellions, the not resurrecting Maddie, and we're seeing this over and over. And then we have in Excalibur, they did resurrect Malice. And so if you're some of these other people, like if you're Alex or Laura or Mystique, and you're like, y'all motherfuckers resurrected Malice and you won't give me my wife, sister, girlfriend, like what the like there's a lot of tension and things building up in this across practically every book.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel and can see, where we're getting to Inferno with, and we have no idea what the trial of, I would guess we'll find out in Sword, what happens Sword and X Factor next week, what leads to the trial of Magneto, what crime Magneto is on trial for.
We're all waiting for Magneto to kill Eminem at the gala.
I mean, look, we came pretty close to having the trial of Ileana in this issue when she was ready.
Oh my God, with Barry the artist.
She was ready to drop Barry the artist through a hole and cut him in half like Dark Beast.
Yeah, I love Ileana so much, and I love her outfit. I love Karma's outfit. Let's take a break from all the heavy talk of resurrections and clone rights, and just take a beat to appreciate the Hellfire Gala fashions. I think Karma looks incredible. Shan looks incredible. I appreciate that Vita took the opportunity to and used Barry the douchebag to relay the message that was like very shitty and ableistic, ableism about Shan's leg. I think that story, or like it kind of talking about that on panel, might be worth it. I know some fans felt some kind of way, like why wouldn't she just fix herself? And and I totally see and appreciate that. But
yes, that's a huge deal.
Right, but like Vita addressed it on Twitter and talked about like how that was her decision, and like it's not just something, a part of her that she just wants to erase away. And that really like sold me on it. I'm like, okay, cool, yeah, do your thing. Like if that's if that's how you feel, like that's a part of you now, then like that's a part of you. Who are we to say that's not? But I think it is worth addressing, and I think it's kind of cool that she used, or they used Barry the artist to kind of relay that shitty message and kind of address it like in an offhand way rather than making a whole page about it.
I mean, yeah, I have some issues as well with the I don't know whether it's the sexuality or still kind of dancing around, the relationships with Danny, what the status of Danny, Ileana, Shan are, especially with like the awkward, them all helping undress like Jimmy later on. Like it was a weird
I didn't
thing.
take
like,
that sexually. That
no,
to
but
me
like,
was very,
no, it
like,
wasn't a sexual scene, but like, I mean, we still have all of these. Okay, it could be funny with like, Ileana like reaching out, like, does anyone know how to like undress a guy, like, and then like there's like an obvious point here of like, oh well, we have Ileana, Shan, and Danny, and none of them know how to undress a guy, but then like. Yeah, but then it's like Danny's like, no, I got it. Let me show y'all how it's. And I'm like, wait, what? No, you've been okay, whatever. I will give Vita props. I don't know. It just like I keep feeling like the setups and everything are so close to like, okay, we're going to get like a nice, explicitly, queer or non-hetero moment here. Like we're gonna get, and it's like, oh, okay, setup and nothing.
Right, and
which is a monthly feature of Vita's New Mutants is queer setup and no follow through.
Yeah, I get that, and it is. I think that's really frustrating. And like I said, in the green room, I literally just read the issue before the Crucible issue, and I had already seen people talking about it and the queer baiting this and that. And you come up reading Claremont and going through all these different eras of X-Men. Subtext is like part and parcel of the whole experience, right? So I'm okay with it. But yeah, man, missed opportunity there when Sean got resurrected. That was the moment, right there on that page. That should have been the official. Okay, if we're not going to make everybody queer, if there's all this subtext and queer baiting and whatever all around the line with Ileana, with Kate, with Rachel, with Betsy, like literally the list goes on and on.
Mm-hmm.
Let's at least have one girl couple, one lesbian couple official. Like take these two over the finish line already, because it's been 40 years of subtext with that. Like,
yes,
just
honestly,
do it. And the resurrection moment is like the perfect opportunity, because like you're born anew, you want to like shed your bullshit. Like that would have been a good moment for them both to be like, yeah, I love you. Like, ugh.
Yeah, to me, if there was subtext in the Claremont run, then they should probably be like the LGBT.
But also, I mean, we're talking about like comics from the late 70s, early 80s, and we're like, well, hinting about things in subtext is part of the history.
Right.
Well, you know what else was part of the history of comics in the 70s? Fucking racism. But we don't do that anymore either. We don't be like, hey, it's 2021, but we're still going to do racist shit and color Asian characters bright yellow. Like, No, we're better than that today.
Another issue that I have
Good
with
point.
this is what happened to Jean's French accent? Like because I was also just reading the Wolverine and they like literally write her out as having like a French accent.
Who?
Jean?
Oh, Aurora.
Huh?
Is it Jean or Jean or Aurora? You mean
What?
Ken's girlfriend?
No,
No, he's talking about Sean.
Oh, Shan.
Yeah,
Shan,
Shan.
yeah.
Shan,
I've never
yeah.
said her name out loud ever.
Well, so
Sean
it's an
Coy
interesting.
Ma.
I was listening to there was someone was talking about it on a podcast recently, and I don't even remember which one, but they were kind of going into the history of it about how the fact that like that's not a Vietnamese, like it's a made up like Asian looking name, like there is no real
Yeah.
good pronunciation for it because
Yeah.
it's not an actual real name. It's just made to look.
I know someone who has
random Asian.
I know someone who has a last name similar to it, but it's different. And that's why I think why I can't pronounce it is because their last name is pronounced differently than
Yeah,
Sean.
look, guys, Claremont did the best he could. Google didn't exist. He kind of like
We got it. Yes.
this is
have
why
to remember he did
Madripoor exists, because it was easier to build a whole new place than to really like responsibly write about.
I'm just trying to
actual
say
places.
is I really like it when writers write the accent as like phonetically, and I miss that.
Yeah, I don't think we got any phonetic. Shen's always spoken French and infused little bits of French in, similar to the way Colossus and has little bits of Russian, and Nightcrawler throws little bits of German into his speech. That's definitely been a Claremont holdover that's carried through. And yeah,
Gambit and Rogue throw a little bit of
Gambit,
whatever the fuck.
Yeah, but even with Rogue though, she never says like her eyes are always AH.
Yeah, there's the Gambit and Rogue is a little more lazy or made up, but we all love it anyway. Like it's totally forgivable.
Love it. Never change.
All right, let's hit on a positive here. So possibly my favorite page of this issue.
I have a positive I have.
Go on.
Is so we have a different artist on this issue.
We do.
Oh yeah.
And
we have Alex Linz, who I believe was on an earlier issue of this series.
Who did a good job.
Yeah, and I thought that's what I was gonna say is that I thought that the transition from Rod Rice into like this issue was like pretty good. I don't think that the coloring was really the same because Rod Rice is like a little bit more of like a watercolory kind of effect.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that it was comparable. I think in like a trade situation it would flow nicely and like you wouldn't really notice a difference. It took me a bit to.
I was gonna say too, I think this would actually flow better than having Reyes on it when we're looking not in a New Mutants trade, but if we're looking at a Hellfire Gala collection that has all of these issues. Because Reyes's art is, Reyes and then maybe Noto over on Cable are two that are kind of the most different from, the standard house style that for the X line that RB Silva and Pepe Larraz have that really laid down in House of X and Powers of 10. And so I think Linz and Milla here kind of blends in better with the other Hellfire Gala stuff and would actually make this kind of read nicer in a Hellfire Gala hardcover later on.
Yeah, I thought the art was great. I agree with you guys. It all
and Linz did a great job of kind of following up with the other artists on the line of having little cameos of the people of like real life celebrities and people that we know are at the gala, just kind of little faces in the background peeking through. There is no art on my favorite page though. My favorite page is the data page with the New Mutants Forever group chat.
So good.
Which is just from start to finish on this, all of the names, the fact that Berto went onto Sam's phone and changed Sam's name to Salmon Ball, calling it New Mutants Forever, which, for those who don't know, is the name of, one of those short-lived, I think it was an explicit mini, but, the Forever line of comics are where they let old writers just kind of pick up their story in an AU from where they left off, as if the rest of the Marvel Universe didn't happen and other writers didn't take over.
Berto has left the chat. I love Roberto so much. He's so great. I love that he's not even like on panel, but you just through this chat, like his personality comes across so clearly. He's one of my favorites.
Yes, him in this the whole way. And then my favorite line of the issue, which is one that, we've been tossing around in our group chat for the last week now. Roberto, what did we say about all caps in the group chat?
Funny how much
there,
that applies to Nico.
There have been a couple Nico, what did we say about all caps in the group chat moments since this issue came out.
I love that Magic, who we all know cannot spell to save her life, has the worst handwriting, and now we know is very emoji reliant. And I think that just fits so well. That's a perfect character beat. I love that.
I also love that Magic voted for Marrow because, of course, Magic wants, the female character who's just going to fuck people up.
Right. The strongly coded lesbian monster character.
Yep. That's Magic Girl.
I want to say something about Rain that struck me in this issue. Rain is a character who has been so mistreated by such a long history of writers. I think she is such a fucked up character. I think that even in this era of like redemption and rebirth or whatever, and under like a different creative hands, there's something oddly comforting about the fact that I still don't like Rain. Like, she's just a problem. Like, you should see Josh's face, you guys, on the podcast. His jaw just dropped. She is a pain in the ass, and she always has been. Whoever's writing her, whether it's Claremont, Peter David, Vita, like, she's just, and I get that that's part of her whole shtick, I guess. I don't know. Rain is really fucked up, and I just want to say, or ask this question: do you guys think Rain knew that Gabby was being bridged? Because she's the one that led Gabby right to Farouk. So let's get into that.
Oh
shit, man! I forgot about that for a second.
Not.
Pretty fucked up.
Rainy can't. Okay, so Rain is,
very distracted by. Wait. She's also very distracted by the potential loss / we can't resurrectness of
Tyr,
her son, right? So so she might, Farouk might have something.
I was going way macro here. Rain is like D-grade Daredevil. Rain is like a character that is defined by their Catholic guilt, for one thing.
Yes.
Right. Which is something that gets written out and played very well, like 95% of the time in Daredevil, and then conversely gets written out and played very poorly, like 95% of the time with Rainy. She is a character that has a lot of potential, but has been done wrong by a lot of writers. She's one that we see has been explicitly damaged by the people who were supposed to love her and care for her as a child, and she has carried that along with her heavy Catholic guilt because her adopted stepfather was an angry racist priest who beat her, and after her mutant powers manifested, sent the villagers after her with torches and pitchforks, and called her a demon spawn, and yelled and screamed about her whore of a mother and all of this and that. There's she was damaged. Then the closest thing she ever had to someone caring for her was Moira, and Moira was her mama, and some of the best Rain moments are all with her just kind of bonding to and being with Mama Moira, and then Moira went away, which also, man, the fact that Moira's not actually dead but basically just abandoned Rain, there's so much fucking potential when Moira steps out of the shadows for like drama with that in the future, because that's gonna fuck poor Rainy up again so goddamn hard.
And rightfully so. This is what I'm saying. The character is so flawed and broken.
Rain was there. Rain was in X-Men 108. Rain was by Moira's side when she died. Rain was falling apart on that fucking plane in the Death of Moira issue that has been retconned to, the replaced by a Shi'ar Golem. So yeah, like Rain has dealt with a lot of stuff. She's made a lot of bad decisions. She's always haunted by her guilt. Like, yeah, she did some bad things, and not bad. I mean, just she had some really questionable, fucked up decisions she made in the Peter David run, especially regarding Richter and potentially, homophobic reactions to things, all of which again tied up with her Catholic guilt. And, she's a character that deserves better. I have no idea what Vita is building to or doing with her here.
She deserves better, but she never gets it. And
that's
kind of like where I'm like, okay, I mean, this is this character, right? Like, if she was self-assured and fixed and kind of like this perfect protagonist, this. Like it'd be like, that's not Rain. Who the fuck? You're just, like it's good that she's so broken, but yeah, she's just not my favorite.
Something
Rain is
else
broken.
happened with Rain too this issue. So all these gala issues, everybody's been drinking the champagne, right? So like there's this amazing champagne going around, and literally in every issue there's like a reason to drink champagne, and people are expressing their like desire to drink champagne. And this is the first time someone's turned it down, and it was Rain. Like they offer Rain champagne and she's like no. And it made like it really
Ooh, good
made that
catch.
like present. And I'm like, the first thing I went to is like, you're like, you don't drink when you're pregnant, and she's like missing her son. And if like, I don't know, like I just started, my mind kind of spiraled with that, but I was just like, why did she turn down the champagne has been like lingering in my mind.
Wow.
I think I just kind of paired it with that Rain won't even wear a costume because she refuses to celebrate.
Yeah.
Reverend Craig. Reverend Craig is Rain's douchey, abusive father figure. Fuck him.
I mean, I'm looking at the issue and she accepts the glass, but she never drinks out of it. You're right.
And even on the cover, I mean, our featured character on the cover is holding up a glass of bubbly champagne.
Yeah.
This is on the A cover, I
She
should
says-
say. I know y'all are some
she
Varian
says she'll
whores, so
pass.
you
She
might
has
not
a
be
bit of
looking
a
at the same
headache.
thing I'm looking at.
So maybe I was thinking too much into it, but I was just like, I don't know, it was in her, like, because it could just be she's got an attitude and doesn't want to drink with people, just like she's standing out in her like fight uniform, like full wolfed out. So but yeah, I don't know, I thought it was interesting because it was just the first like anti-party vibe, I guess. That was like everybody else is just like, yeah, let's drink and have a good time and watch fireworks, and then she's
She's like, no, this is for the humans. Yeah, she was very hot and cold too. In that whole interaction with Danny, she's like, no, it's cool. I totally understand. And then she's like, well, you should have been there. I'm like, what? And I mean, in her defense, she does say, sorry, I'm tired. Like she kind of owns like I'm being an erratic mess, but she was
See,
being
but to
an
me,
erratic
but to me,
mess.
she's being passive aggressive, and that's what like
Mm.
frustrated
Totally.
me with that
Now
situation.
that is
I
on
even
brand
wrote
though
it.
for her. Like
And I
that is
even-
not
That's
I
knowing
even-
how to
Catholic
deal with
101, baby.
I know. I'm also Catholic, so like I get it. But I'm just kind of like we live in a society. Like she's kind of
We
like
live in a society.
like
That's the soundbite.
she's being all like me. You weren't there for me. And Danny was like, yeah, because I was doing other shit. Like I know we're friends, but sorry, I had other things to do. Like I can't give 100% of my time to you. And that's what I found mostly frustrating with her kind of side of the story was.
Yeah, and Rain has had a lot of. Rain is also a selfish character as a result of a lot of her trauma and damage. We see Rain making things throughout comics. She makes things about her because she's a character that, has lots of need for attention and love and trust that she's never had. Like, that is definitely part of her character going back. And there are plenty of issues and storylines where she makes things that aren't about her. And I think it's one of the reasons why people get annoyed or don't like her as much. I see her as just like, another one of the many damaged trash babies in the X books that, just need a hug, and I want to love them so much. But I get it. Before we wrap up, let's talk about, we've mentioned the costume some and how good they are. Let's just go around the horn. Favorite gala costume? Jimmy, Danny, Yana, or Shan?
Oof.
Shan. I mean, just because of the reveal too. And I
Shan's is so
think I think her keeping that leg is so badass. Like just owning your identity, no matter the cost, and just the reveal and the awesome like dress jacket thing. Like I'm sorry, I don't know.
The
how to
collar
explain
that's shaped like the way her powers have always been
Yes!
drawn in the comics.
I
That
love
was
that.
so cool.
That was brilliant.
So good.
That was brilliant. Yeah, and it is very like runway, like just a big puffy, yeah, it's super cool. All right, just for the sake of not giving the same answer, I'm going to go with Magic because I think she looks badass. I love that her outfit like breaks the laws of physics. It's great.
She
The
has a
horns
magic
too are
outfit.
so cool.
The horns are
Yes.
so dope.
She has like the demon horns, and it's shaped like this artistic fashion version of her demon form,
Yeah.
which is the other one that I really love. Those I think are the two above and away.
See, for
What
me,
about
it was
you, Drew?
Danny. She was
Yeah.
that's my favorite outfit.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a fan of Magic's. I think it's too crazy. And too like there's too much going on with it. It needs to be edited a little bit. But yeah, and I think
I
Karma's
mean,
is-
one of my style icons and influences is Strife, so that tracks. I'm not really about the edit. I'm about like more
and
is
then,
more.
but on the other side, I think Karma's is too simple.
I think it's brilliant. I think it's so simply brilliant. Like the power signature color is that really put it over the top for me.
And I also think it goes with the characters too, because like I would expect Karma to want something simpler and more subtle, and I would expect Magic to be like a little kid adding on, like telling Jumbo to add on all of these stupid things.
Yeah.
Like, no, more is better. More is
Can
more.
we make the horns bigger? Yeah.
She always to me has that like still little kid aspect of her in there that like comes out. And so I
Just 'cause
get
she
that.
never really
But
got
yeah,
to be a kid, so
Well, that's a good point.
they're
Wow,
great
that's
designs on those costumes.
Yeah, she never got to be a
Drew
kid.
just
So
blew my
she's-
fucking mind. I'm like thinking back to like everything I know about Ilyana, and I'm like, holy shit, that's what. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, she's definitely one of my favorite characters. She's so great.
Hey guys, if you like that cut from X's4 Podcast, you'll be sure to like some of our other materials. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out these other amazing videos here at X's4 Podcast.